So thank you for updating me.
There's someone here claiming that the royalties on the Rider Ribs apes is 10% baked into the contract.
I've seen that.
If that's true, he's making 10% out of the secondary sales volume.
That's insane.
Would that surprise you though?
After tonight,
Yeah,
no.
exactly.
After tonight, no. With this guy with the N word and then the threads and insulting a lady up on stage multiple times and dodging answers and not having any answers of his own and answering questions with 5 questions and then not making a point and then leaving without saying goodbye and just hopping into a dock space. No, I'm not surprised. Not at all.
Can I ask
All you could do is laugh
something?
about it.
Um, like I look at this from like and I call it an outsider perspective solely because geographically I'm based outside of the US. So I feel like the buttons that he's trying to push is very like US centered. And like with the whole NFT space being so global and so versatile, do you think that that kind of um, helps in cases with people where let's just assume that he's got a vindictive agenda or whatever after what you've seen from his behavior tonight and whatever. Um, I kind of I don't know if this is a question or a statement because I kind of already have my own kind of answer for this, but I'd be interested in hearing what anyone else that's for, for one in the US and next like people outside of the US, like how do you feel about it? Like do you think it affects you as much as it affects everyone else that you speak to? I think it's kind of hard to push a narrative on people that don't necessarily relate to it on a personal level or haven't experienced their history per se. Um, just yeah, that's one thing that's been on my mind with this whole thing. Anyone?
Yeah,
Is
everyone's
everyone
different.
in the space from
So
America?
you could look at a piece of
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I don't think everyone's from North America here, but you can look at a piece of art and not find any offense in it, and someone else could look at it and find it totally offensive. And this is just different types of people. Some people are totally oblivious, right? They were raised in sort of a bubble, and that happens. But that's because every human is different, and everyone has a different life experience, and life experience sort of changes the way you view things. You look at things, right? Um, if you're an open-minded or you have a lot of empathy, you can understand why people may find it offensive but not have experienced that yourself, but you can hear their points of view, and you're willing to sympathize or empathize, however you want to call it, with those viewpoints. You don't necessarily have to agree with someone else's point of view as well, or his opinion. It does not mean you hate that person or you're attacking that person. It just means you have a different opinion, and everyone has different opinions all the time about anything. Nothing wrong with that, but like I keep saying, it's what rubs me the wrong way is when you start presenting it as facts and evidence and the absolute truth of things, because now you're trying to turn opinion into something that it's not, which is fact. And yeah, this is sort of how I look at these things. I do feel that a lot of people can fall for it, whether you don't know about this. I think if you join a couple of Twitter spaces and you think the people are talking sound cool and you sort of feel like, hey, they're my buddies now, and then you sort of go, yeah, it is kind of this and it is kind of that. And eventually, after like 5 Twitter spaces and 3 weeks deep, you go, holy fuck, man, I bought one as well. Fuck the people, fuck the system. And then you go, and then like a month later, the person that's shilling you the shit gets exposed, and you go, wait a minute, did I fall for a scam? Bro, it was my first NFT, bro. And first NFT was a scam. And that's how you learn. Like, you paid a ticket to ride.
Ashad, how do you like you start out like with your name and like for example me, I say like yeah I make art, my name is that, I'm from there. But when you start on like this different name account, like, and people ask you to tell your story or something, right? Like, what do you do? Or you don't say anything related to your real life, right?
No, no. But for like, this is different for everyone, right? Like, I come from a specific, I think, small angle. There's some other accounts that are sort of doing the same thing I'm doing in this space, but it's a very limited, it's a very small group of similar sort of like-minded people. You can't really compare me to just like an artist or something, right? Or only a coder or something like that. I don't think there's an inherent risk of coding something and doxing yourself or not talking about personal things. But I've been in the public for a long time in my private life, right? My private life has been public, and I know what media does and what type of effect it has on a person. And I also know how you can manipulate the media. And I'm a very private person. Um, just in general, I don't want to be bothered. I just want to be left alone. Like, uh, and when you start exposing people, scammers that intend to run away with millions of dollars, that are usually, people that have little remorse or no accountability, don't really care about others, um, have a pattern of doing that because the people scamming in the NFT space, most of them have scammed many times before even considering doing NFT scams, right? They have this is a history. I would bet that there's the amount of people scamming in NFTs is the first time they are scamming is very low. Um, and these people have types of personality traits like narcissism is a very common one. You know, dodging accountability, taking no responsibility, blaming everyone else, having no empathy for other people, not being critical of their own actions, and all those all those personality traits combined can be very dangerous if you push those people the wrong way, right? So one way to do that is I only talk about ideas, right, or arguments or broader topics because those are not personally identifiable to me. But however, what I say is very personal. It only is my opinion, right? It's my point of view. That's actually very personal. But yet, I don't share anything about my family, my age, my location, my time zone, the weather, um, all that type of stuff. It's all personal identifiable information. And often I jump on these calls and people say like, so what time is it over there? You just woke up? I just go, yeah, I'd love to talk about it, but I can't share the time zones. Sorry. And it sort of halts the conversation immediately. You go, oh, okay. Well, so yeah, I don't talk about any of this stuff, not on these spaces, not in private calls with anyone. Nobody I've talked to in any private call knows my time zone, knows where I'm at. They may have an idea, but I can guarantee you that anyone claiming that knows that I've said to them that I'm in a certain country and certain times with certain families or certain anywhere, they're wrong because I've never said that. And those are hard lines I keep. It's the same hard lines I keep when I'm trading. So I have to be very mindful of these things. And I talk a lot in these spaces, but sometimes I talk a bit about my past, but those are not necessarily personally identifiable. Like I can talk about certain job things, but I will never link them to something specific. So that's sort of how you can deal about it. But you could talk a lot with people and actually know more about them in these spaces than you would actually know if you would just look at a resume and a website. Um, I think these spaces are very important, and they're also very fun. They can be very fun and informative, and as today could also be kind of challenging. But everyone's up for a challenge once in a while, right?
You're really the basis of our education, man. You start saying things, we start reading things, and that's how we learn. And I gotta give you that hot shot for 100%.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's I'd like to talk about specific things for sure, but Can't really do that because you know that whenever you host these spaces, they're public. You don't know who's listening. For all we know, some IRS planted agent sitting here taking notes on all of us. We don't fucking know. That's why I don't like to talk about my personal assets in a wallet. That's why I don't share my wallet addresses, any space, or what I necessarily hold or don't hold. I think you always have to keep regulation in the back of your mind. You always have to think that someone is recording these spaces, and the recordings could be edited and pulled out of context and made an own narrative. So whenever you say something in a space, you cannot be too comfortable. And obviously everyone on stage knows that there's multiple alt accounts from people here that are listening to these spaces as well. They're listening right now in this space with an alt account, but they're also in another space with their main account right now, right? And when I first started hearing that, when I joined the space, I thought, but this is insanity. Like, why would someone do that? And now I go, yeah, I totally understand it, because most of the space is sort of high school drama. And there's not a lot of people doing some actual sort of real work as it comes to sticking to the data, sticking to the facts, sticking to what's verifiable. And there's some people that would just want to ride the wave from drama to drama to drama, even to a point so where they're instigating people in DMs and tweets and sort of trying to get a situation going.
Wait, what would they get out of by listening to the space? Like, what's the point of them listening and like identifying people and stuff?
A
Unless you're a scammer,
lot.
right?
A lot. Like, scammers are listening to Hotshot what he's saying. Like, 100% sure
Yeah,
to know what they.
but that's a fact, because that's been a whole thing last year when scammers actually were following me from space to space. That happens a lot, and that's why sometimes I can't say certain things in public spaces, because when you ask me these questions about Etherscan, for example, right? I'd like to tell you all of it, but I can't. So I can tell you certain things, but I cannot give you a playbook. The fact that I told you the things I told you today could be used by people of bad intentions to write that down, and now, okay, well, that's sort of what he's doing. How can we use that to our advantage to not get caught, right? Well, if you know how people are looking, you also know what you need to do to avoid or modify it, right? So you always want to talk about things, but you don't want to get into too much detail. You don't want to give a tutorial, and you want to stay, as much as you can away from sensationalizing things. So whenever you see these spaces with, oh my God, security hack, Web3, oh my God, 50 million people got hacked, oh my God, question mark, question mark. Like, these spaces were new months ago because nobody knew what was happening. And now they're so common. When you tweet about, okay, yeah, Discord got hacked. Yeah, who cares? It's Monday. Let's grab a coffee. It's like it's so common now that this happens that people just go, oh yeah, another Discord. Well, that's great. What are we eating? But yet people try to sensationalize it a bit. We went from the marketing grift, sort of engagement farming through marketing, and then we went engagement farming through security and Web3. I don't know what the next engagement farm is. Maybe it's mental health spaces during the bear market or something like that. But it's all those types of things you have to keep in mind.
So they're listening to like learn stuff and then scam you back, right? From the
that's a possibility, but there's also just straight up people recording these spaces, putting them on Twitch, and then they get AdSense, right? Or they get AdSense on any sort of stream. So they're just recording all this free podcast. I'm not getting paid. My co-host is not getting paid. Nobody here on stage is getting paid to be here. Actually, we're just sort of chilling and doing our thing. We're talking with each other. We're not spending time with our family right now. We're just sitting here speaking into the void. That's the dark hole that's called the NFT space. Like a swamp of NFTs. That's where we're sort of walking through right now. But yeah, there's some people that will straight up stream this whole recording to a YouTube stream or Twitch stream, and they will get viewerships on it, and they will have to do nothing, and they will take an AdSense cut. There's also lots of people that join spaces to listen to other people to copy opinions of. So you have people that copy tweets. They steal tweets, they sort of modify them and they paste them, or they straight up copy them altogether. Happens a lot. And then you have people that will copy opinions. They will go into Twitter